Welcome, beautiful creatures, to the Lightness of Being Podcast, where we celebrate the dance of life and explore ways to find joy, laughter, and lightness, even when faced with challenges. Join me, your host, Monika Stefanik, as we step into the light and discover a realm of potential and possibilities for greater ease in our lives. Let's laugh, learn, and grow together. Welcome, beautiful souls, to this episode of the Lightness of Being Podcast. I am coming to you from a beautiful forest near my new home. I walk this trail all the time, but now I get to live directly on it. How does it get better than that? It's amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm literally looking at the river right now. I just, oh man, the abundance, the blessings, the gratitude, the joy, the ecstatic bliss, the pain and crying, and just all of the vast wavelength of this human experience of emotions and just being. I have been swirling in quite a tumultuous space of it all the last, I'm going to say 2 weeks, really. Yeah. Anyway, welcome. It is the new moon day today. It is Pisces New Moon. I will let you all, look that up as you please if that serves you. It's astrologically, we're entering into quite a season. Major retrogrades and eclipse season, and just lots of things are going on. And so if you feel so called, I encourage you to go do a little research on your own, because I am not that person that can channel that through for you, unfortunately. But there's many a blessed, talented soul out there in this world that can be of service to you in that way. So I get to be of service in a different way. So yeah. Wow. I'm like, what even is the theme? What are we talking about? Am I even ready to do this? I don't feel ready. Moving is a whole thing. And I have just been in a space of, I feel like we talk about this a lot on the podcast, but a totally different way. So much just trust, just deep, deep, deep trust and surrender into the unfoldment of quite literally everything at this point. I have been someone who, just really tries to control and plan, and, there's a healthy element of all of that, and a healthy element of release and letting go. And the magic that has been showing up from that space is quite literally indescribable. Honestly, through this beautiful unfolding and really, really, really letting go. Sweet love. Sorry, my dog is on the edge of a cliff right now. Henry love is scaring me a little bit there. Yes. You please move your booty? Thank you. Or not. Thank you. Thank you. What's really been super alive is magnetism and attracting So speaking of being that person who used to always do like control and kind of grabbing and holding and reaching and just trying to like make everything go the way that my brain wanted it to go, and also the way that I like needed it to look in order to feel safe, right? Like that's always where that stuff comes from, is like a space of feeling safe. In this space and process of learning what it is to truly surrender and trust and let go, and just like on my knees crying, just like fully in surrender to the universe of like, I trust, I trust, I trust. It's really allowed such a softening into my nervous system. Like there's been this peace in my world that has never fully been present in the way that it is right now, which feels so good and so spacious. And then from that space, I'm like, okay, am I going to fill that, or am I just going to let that be and allow myself to be in this space of silence and in this space of stillness, and let whatever is meant to come through. And when I notice parts of me really desiring to control, whether it is related to business or moving or relationships or whatever, because I'm just like, nothing's really happening. Like I feel like I'm sitting in like a between worlds urethral space, which feels, it's like uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. It's not uncomfortable in the way of like unsettling, I guess. It's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. And but in that space, starting to settle in through like the practices that I've been doing, and then all these amazing conversations that I've been having with my friends, and just the way that actually feels resonant for me to show up to my life, being a magnet and an attractor for everything that I require. And it all ends up showing up in ways that I never would have even imagined. And that's only possible because of this releasing of control and letting go, right? So that's amazing and beautiful. And, this is kind of the first time in my life that I'm consciously aware of being in that space, because I feel like we all have moments, right, where it's like, you'll experience something, maybe you've been like asking for something, and I don't know, like just something comes into your life all of a sudden, whether it's a person, a situation, a whatever it is, and it feels like magic, right? You're kind of like, oh, like that's crazy that that thing just came to me, or that's wild how that showed up for me. And in those moments, that is us being whatever we have been being, not even doing, but being. We've been a magnet and an attractor for the frequency of what we are asking for. And getting to consciously occupy that space over the last few weeks has, number one, allowed my trust to deepen even more, and also just revel in the magic that we are as beings, and how incredible, absolutely how incredible we are when we step back, when we let go, but when we hold a vision of our life, of our creations, of what we're asking for to come through without needing it to look a certain way or show up in a certain timeline, but just continually holding the vision, like, and showing up and taking action, right? Like we can't just sit and lie back and like, lay in bed all day, but continuing to take action on our life and taking care of ourselves and our bodies and our environment and our communities, showing up for other people, like being the support that we want to receive, all those types of things, everything that we truly desire just starts to flow in and through. And there's all these different situations over the last few weeks, that little things and big things just coming to me, coming to me. Like, I've always been the chaser. And, in my last episode with Sarah, we kind of talked about our attachment styles for a hot second, being the anxious one. So kind of always being someone who has always chased or like clung. And yeah, so like being in a completely different state, anxious, working my way towards secure in many areas of my life, right? Because like attachment is not just related to like romantic relationship or relationships in general. It's related to how we interact with the world, how we interact with our things, how we interact with spirit, like all these different things, our practices, like all of that. And yeah, so working through that, reaching a more secure and steady place, and then just being in it and just being me in that space, and deeply, deeply trusting that all of the actions that I'm taking, that the spaces that I'm in, that are like exactly where I'm meant to end up. And like, even though there's, of course there's doubt and all these other things that creep in, like even especially with this move that I just did, I've had days where I'm just like, what did I do? Like, why did I do this? And like all different things coming in, and but also allowing that to be there. I was like, okay, this is present. And once I let that be, instead of like pushing or resisting it away, there's a reflection that comes in of like, and this is exactly where you're meant to be right now. Like, that deep within your bones. And I don't know exactly what the next step looks like, but I do have a really beautiful vision for my future, and keeping my intention and my alignment and the ways that I'm showing up every single day. And to me, that looks like, right, recently it has looked like keeping my channels really clean and clear, right? So like, I mean, like no substances, no caffeine, and this is just for me, right? This is like what I need right now. And also like daily Kundalini practice and meditation and silence, and really just allowing there to be this spaciousness for the whispers of where I'm meant to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm meant to be showing up, like all of these little things coming in. And then when they do, just trusting it, and like listening to when like things come in a few different times. And if I've kind of pushed it away or avoided it, it's like, okay, obviously that's coming back here for a reason. So you need to listen to that, Monika. And yeah, it's been quite the process. And there's just like so much spaciousness in my world that I'm not really used to. I'm very used to a very full schedule. And so even with that, especially if it's related to business things, I start to get in an interesting headspace, I'm sure, as many of us do. And so even there, I'm like, okay, but this space, not but, and this space exists for a reason. And it's here for me to birth and create and also rest, right? Like, moving is huge. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves the spaciousness to rest in that. But rest in general, like, we are in a world that is so fast paced, and right now we're being inundated with so much different content and information. And we truly, like, our bodies and our nervous systems truly, truly, truly deserve rest. And there was a mantra I used to say to myself a while back when I was still learning how to rest. It's that rest is productive. Right? If I was like laying down and judging myself for laying down instead of finishing a task, I'd be like, Monika, rest is productive. And so even though I wasn't like fully resting, at least I was like, it was a process, right? Of like just laying down and being like, okay, rest is productive. Rest is productive. Like, this is okay. This is okay. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing to judge. No one's judging me. I'm the only one that's doing that to myself. And so why, as I'm laying here in my like super comfortable bed and just like relaxing, should I be judging myself? Like, I don't need to do that. And yet it's an unlearning and a reprogramming, right? So that also, yeah, kind of just brings in the theme of today, which I know that when this podcast launches, we're going to be a few days in and probably starting eclipse season at that point. However, new moon in Pisces, new moons in general, are a really great period of time it's just like heightened to set our intentions, right? For our month, for your life. It's the energy is just more potently, I feel like I shouldn't even be speaking to this because I'm like not an astrologer. I'm just going to speak for me. The energy, it's like you get a little extra oomph when you utilize this time to really tap and tune in and write down your intentions, speak them out loud, get a clear vision on like what you want your month to look like and what you want your life to look like. Like this is you, the universe has your back always, but especially right now in this period of time to be like, okay, what are you asking for? And like, how can I support you in that, And from there, once we start to do that, the steps kind of start to unfold as to what that looks like. And, it may take a month, it may take a year or years. It doesn't really matter. But if there is something that you're very clearly like, this is what I want my life or my relationships or just anything in general to look like just keep the vision and know that the universe is constantly unfolding in your favor. And we have to continuously show up to that space and for that work. And again, that looks like an unlearning. That also looks like really tapping and tuning into like, what are you thinking? And what are you saying? Because your words are magic. Your words are spells. And so anytime we think even like, I'm not even necessarily going to call it a negative thought. It's more of like a negating thought for like, oh, I want this, but that's never going to happen because of this, or that can't happen because of this, or whatever it is. It's like, no, you don't need to do that. Just ask and receive, right? This theme of receiving, this magnetizing, attracting, receiving. I feel like I'm so intimately getting to know this even more. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, magnetizing, attracting, that's receiving. Like I'm having this download in this moment. It's like, so cool. Such a big thing to talk about because I feel like we're also, kind of conditioned to think that receiving is like, oh, I am receiving this gift from this person, or I am receiving this plate of food from the waiter, or it's like, yeah, okay, but that's like not receiving is receiving all of being to me. And and not just the good, right? Like the clunky, the challenging, the messy, the pain, the all of it. And we get to choose how we respond and receive all of the input, all of the information that's coming in, whether you're watching the news, whether you're listening to a podcast, whether you're listening to music or, receiving someone talking at you, having a challenging conversation or an interesting point of view, a different point of view than you have about a certain subject, like any of all of that input, it's like, how are you truly receiving it and then choosing to respond from that space? And because that's all on you. Like that's all right here in every single moment. And I just want to speak to something I'm learning of like how I don't know how this is gonna sound, but how important it is to sometimes just walk away. Like ecstatic dance is a huge part of my life, right? And we talk about consent all the time. And consent in dance looks like so many things, also the way that it should look in life in general. But we talk about how, like, if you're entering into a dance with someone, whether it's like an energetic dance or like a physical touch dance, if there's a moment where you're just like, I'm done, there's no like verbal anything like, oh, thank you, or like prayer hands or anything. You can literally just like dance away like a little fairy, like just bye. And it's not about a no to that person. It's about a yes to you. And if that person truly understands, they'll, fully respect that, because it's like, oh, that person's not rejecting me or abandoning me or saying no to me, but they are honoring, like truly honoring themselves. And that is so beautiful. And I'm so happy for them. So within this space, whether it's dance or even something else, I mean, conversations might be a little bit different. It's been a challenging space for me, but something that I'm practicing now is just like that space of like just walking away. Like, it's okay. Like, if you feel yourself getting activated or whatever it is, there's a space of like, I'm just gonna go over here. Like, thank you for talking to me. I'm gonna go now. And just letting that be that. Like, no explanation needed. And I'm sure there's some of you who are like, yeah, of course, Monika, like, that's super easy. That's not easy for someone like me. Like, I'm always like the people pleaser. I'm like, I want to make sure that we leave this okay. Like, again, that anxiousness, like, are we okay? Are we okay? I don't know, because if we're not okay, then I can't leave. So then I'm going to self-abandon myself and stay in something that's like not healthy for me right now. New paradigm shift. We're not doing that anymore. And there's also respectful ways to leave those types of things and honor yourself. And regardless of how the other person chooses to respond or react to it, doesn't really matter, because you have the only thing that you have true authority over is yourself and your response and how we choose to move through this world. Right? So, yeah, I don't even really know how we got on that tangent, to be super honest. This is all like, hi. This is all like,
Say hi.
Sure. His name's Henry. Enjoy your walk. Thanks. Amazing. Like that pattern interrupt. I was about to say, I was like, how did we get on that tangent? I don't know. I don't even know why we're here. Yeah, the energies the last few days have been really intense for me. Not in like, it's not like it's bad. I've just been feeling very uninspired and like not super creative, and also like I really would, Henry, come here. I would really love to be able to sit down and record a podcast right now, and yet there's like no energy flowing through me in that direction. And then like, trying not to make myself wrong for it and all these things. And then I was like, oh, of course it would be like on this day. Of course I would be recording on the new moon. Of course this is like the energy would be leading me here, and being like, okay, thank you for waiting. And right here, right now is the time. This is the time. This is following the flow. This is receiving all of the energy from the universe and being like, here we are. Yeah. So pattern interrupts. Those are really good. There was a piece I was going to actually speak to about, so our gene keys, right? Amazing. My life's work is to transform the shadow of self-obsession. It's gene key 10. Transform the shadow of self-obsession into the gift of naturalness, into the siddhi of being. So, when we're talking about like sitting out in nature, I'm like, naturalness, here we go. That's truly where I've been at. And not that naturalness is just like nature things. It's also natural state of being. So, and I'm talking about like magnetizing and letting go and like breaking down these old paradigms and releasing. I'm going to let that car go by for a second. And there's like a water dam down there. And so sometimes there's a truck every once in a while. Yeah, naturalness is like our natural state of being, right? It doesn't just mean like being out in nature, although how appropriate, right? And the place that I just moved into, like I've been able to tap into that more like natural flow state in a totally different way, and feeling really grateful to wake up and be able to put my hands on the earth and have a yard to be able to do that, and then get to come to this trail every morning. But all that being said, I have over the last probably like 2 years, but very much in the last year, few months, have really seen myself start to transform this shadow of self-obsession, which is very triggering for me when I first started reading about it. And it brought up a lot into this state of naturalness, and that being a surrender, a trusting, a letting go into the unfoldment of the natural flow of the universe, and releasing the clinging and the gripping, and noticing when that still comes up and alive for me sometimes, because it does. And usually there's like a lot of grief associated with that for me. I'm letting go of a lot right now, and everything that is there for me is there for me. And it's just so beautiful. I'm like, oh, if I had just done this ages ago, maybe my life wouldn't have been as challenging as it was, or whatever. But now it's like, no, it's not even about that. I was like, now I'm here. I'm here. I am finally touching on what naturalness for me feels like. And which is like really soft and slow and gentle and in flow and in alignment, and knowing that everything that is meant for me will find me. Like, I don't need to chase it. I don't need to reach for it or grab for it. Everything that's meant for me will find me, and everything that's not will pass me by. And even if it looks like or is perceived to be what I was looking for, asking for, what truly is for us can never miss us. It can never miss us. Especially if we're staying really open to receive all of what that is. And even in like the challenging moments, I've been able to receive that with so much more grace and ease than I have ever in the past before. And, just feeling so grateful for all of the lessons and all of the people who have been on my journey to now, regardless if they're in my life anymore, if they will continue to be in my life. I'm just so profoundly grateful to be alive, to have this experience, to get to love, to get to be love, to get to emanate love, to get to experience love. If y'all have never hugged a tree, man, and talk about pure love and grounding. It's been a long journey of learning love and learning to love myself. And learning to be. To just be. And allowing that to be as it is without any judgment. And I revel at my life right now. It is such an honor. It's an honor and a privilege to be in a body. It's an honor and a privilege to be with my body. It's an honor and a privilege to live and exist where I live, to love as I love. It really is a beautiful life. And I know that, right now, outside, there's a lot. It's just a lot. And so my invitation is to allow all of that to just be there and to continue to find your way back home here every day in whatever way that looks for you. Because when we have peace within, there will be peace without. Like, I can have peace for me, and that's beautiful, but until everyone in the world is at peace, the world will not be at peace. And so the most radical thing that you can do every single way to make a difference in the collective whole is to show up for you, not from a space of ego or selfishness, but from a space of like, when I nurture and care for my vessel and my consciousness, that just begins to emanate out into the world and elevate the consciousness of the planet and the peace on this planet that truly does exist. So again, it's like where our attention goes, energy flows. So where are you putting your attention in every moment? In every moment, where are you putting your attention? Are you choosing to listen to and buy into a narrative that doesn't align with the future that you know or the world that you know can be? Are you choosing to align with something that does feel real and true for what you know and are asking that living on this planet can be for all beings, for all creatures? Because truly it's miraculous. Like, our natural state is miraculous. You look around at this world, you take a moment, take your AirPods out, go on a walk without your phone, put it on airplane mode. This world is miraculous. You as a being are miraculous. We just have to stop and notice. And then from that space, we kind of start to choose different, with what we're taking in and what we're giving out. As within, so without. As above, so below. What we do here goes out here. So the most important action you can take every single day is to wake up and be like, hey, body, thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. How can I support you today? Body, spirit, God, nature, however you want to call it on it. How can you use me in service today? How can I be of contribution to the collective? And please show me in the most obvious way how to be that, how to show up. And please bring support to me and help me be of support. For we cannot do this alone. We are here to do this together with our soul family. We came here together. We are not alone. We are so deeply supported and guided and loved and cherished. And to just know that, even if you can't fully feel it, but to know that deep in your soul, deep in your bones, it allows us to move forward into the world in a completely different way. For ourselves, for others. And so, just leave you with a little metta meditation today. May I be well, loving, and peaceful. And may all beings be well, loving, and peaceful. So it is. It is so. Wow. Blessings, beautiful beings, and thank you so much for listening, for being here. I hope it was a contribution. Big love to you all.